Hi, I'm Darlene Washington, and this is Spiritually Intriguing, the Church Edition. Here we are once again with Reverend Dr. Virgil Woods of Grant Memorial AME Church, and he is awesome. Hello again.
Hey, how you doing, Darlene?
Alrighty. Okay. We have a lot of territory to cover, so I'm just going to get right into it. I have this thing where I don't like it where people go to these little vacation spots. They just get over there, they don't know where they're going, or maybe they do, I don't know. But it's certain risks that are involved, and I just feel like we're not doing enough to get that covered. So here's the question I pose. Should government allow international patrons to vacation in countries where inclement weather disasters are rampant and without warning systems? Are these vacationers aware that they are visiting countries without warning systems and no emergency evacuation plans should inclement weather occur? Do we even care? Do these people, I don't know. How are we getting to these countries calling ourselves going on a vacation that can end in our deaths? What do you think of that?
Let me reword your question.
Okay.
Should the government be able to tell us where we can and cannot go?
Yes, kind of, sort of. They do that anyway, if you think about it.
Yeah, they do. They got mad at Jay-Z for going to Cuba.
Yeah, they do that anyway. So why not save our lives from inclement weather?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm always kind of a freedom guy, you know, so I'm more apt to say people can go where they want to go. I mean, maybe the issue or maybe the bigger question is, what are we doing to inform people of the places that they're going before they actually make those trips and make those vacations?
Right, and they get there, and then the next thing you know, here comes a typhoon, here comes a tsunami, you know, here comes a super earthquake, and it's like you go there thinking you're going to have this wonderful peace, paradise.
Well, and I guess the follow-up question is the government responsible for coming to get you?
That's it.
If you get caught up. Yeah. I mean, if the government's not responsible for coming to get you, then do what you want. But I mean, if we're going to expect the government to come and bail us out per se, then I think that there just has to be a different level of accountability. I don't know. Should the government have a website maybe where you can click on and say, if you're going to this country, this is what you should expect? I mean, you know, I don't know. Do I want to pay tax dollars for that? You know, I don't know.
There are kind of some inclement weather sites, but my issue is more so, I mean, I don't think that they're doing enough, and maybe it's the traveler themselves that need to pay more.
I mean, the sad part about it is, you know, that same reason that would keep me from visiting Oklahoma right now or visiting certain parts of the United States. I mean,
well, this is true.
We've got Tornado Alley, we've got hurricanes in Florida. I mean,
but I want to know that. I want to know that before I go somewhere. I just feel like if you're going to be promoting these places to visit, you should also, I mean, I feel like it should come with a warning label. Visit at your own risk, you know?
I just think as a vacationer, it's your job to do the due diligence. I mean, who doesn't check the weather to know what to pack and what time of year to go? I mean,
lots of people do not do it. But I mean, I don't know that I mean, it's an exaggeration. I don't know if I want the government to do it. I just want there to be a little more input into it. And for also the sake of those people in those little islands and countries, I think that it's just more that can be done. I mean, some of these places, they have horrible weather, and these vacationers run there, and then there's no place for not only the people there, but also the vacationers to go, and they can't even support themselves in the emergency situation. And so it's like, then here comes our little Americans or whomever from wherever trying to vacation in that spot. It's like, okay, is anybody going to do anything? Next thing you know, we're reaching out to the world. Oh, help us, when something could have been done prior to prevent it. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a long, thought-out situation if you want to really get into dissecting it. I just feel like there's not enough being done in the little bitty little countries. They are poor, whatever have you, but it's like nobody cares about them until somebody vacations there and all of a sudden the tsunami swamped over those poor little Americans or whoever. What about everyone? What about all of those people who have no warning systems in such situations? I mean, what can anyone do?
But I think the other side of it too is that, and again, I don't know a lot about this, but I think there's a difference between having a warning system and a procedure or plan in place.
It's both.
So I mean, you're talking about countries who, Yeah, can you smack a big horn in the middle of the island and tell everybody something's coming?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. That probably doesn't cost much. Okay, but now after we blow the horn, now what? I mean, do we have the resources to make concrete buildings and bunkers to go hide in? I mean, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I think some of it is not just knowing that something's coming, but you're talking about certain places where they're just trying to survive.
Right.
And then now you're talking about, hey, you know, we're lucky to build a farm, and you want me to build a bunker that I'm only going to use in case a hurricane comes? You know what I mean? Like, I'm already having to put all my resources into clean water, clean topsoil, whatever. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think, and I just my personal, I think inclement weather is all over. You know, that's just me too. So I don't know. I've never looked. I'm sure there are statistically safest places on earth to be.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if you're a traveler, you know, you should do the homework. I just don't think. I think at the end of the day, for me, it's not the responsibility of the government to come find you per se.
And not necessarily our government, but maybe
I don't know. If I'm lost, do I want them to come find me? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I know, as I said, it's an issue, but it's a personal issue that I have. I just want people to be more aware of, you know, don't just be attracted to some place just because it's palm trees or whatever have you, and it's warm beaches and sand. I mean, take into consideration everything that is happening within that country, you know, from violence to inclement weather to emergency evacuation systems, which is the ultimate. You know, take all that into consideration. Please, folks, in the meantime, God bless all those people who have lost their homes.
Check the Weather Channel.
All of that. And yeah, and the Weather Channel. All of that. Love you, but, you know, just be careful. Okay, so the next thing is, oh boy, I think I'm going to get in trouble for this one too. But, you know, Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase and a lot of other banks have been sued for, you know, some of their extracurricular activities. I'm going to put it that way. We have these banks out here that, specifically the two banks that I mentioned, had got mortgage lawsuits. And then some of the banks have even had overdraft charge lawsuits. And then all of these banks, they get all these different lawsuits here and there over the years. And what my question is, you know, is how really safe is our money in the banks? What is there that we are missing that, even though we're FDIC insured, what is there that we are really missing that it doesn't get discovered until something like the mortgage crisis took place or the massive overdraft fees take place with some banks? What is it that we're missing? Why do we have to wait for that to happen to learn that these banks are doing these things to their customers?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I read some of the information, you know, preparing for this and whatnot, and I guess what it really boiled down to me was just a question of integrity. I think that what we found out more than anything is just how interrelated everything is, from people's jobs to unemployment to the housing industry to the banking industry to the government. And I think it's hard because on one hand we want the government to enhance the lives of its constituency, but on the other hand we want the government to stay out of the lives of its constituency. And I think that that's always a troublesome balance. Because they have to be involved to a certain degree. Right. To what degree is always the question. The reason that the government really got doped was because they didn't recognize how fragile the loans they were buying from those institutions were, because those loans have been written just under crazy terms and loose terms. I mean, they were giving people stuff they knew they couldn't afford. Right. I mean, they were doing all kinds of stuff, and of course we weren't smart enough to complain. I think it's just, I think the only solution that I see is just a lot more education. And that sounds like a cop-out. Consumer education, yes. I mean, that people really need to be aware, you know, that we're not going to accept 12% loans. We're not going to accept, you know, things that just are going to jeopardize my household. You know, there's a new thing now, a reverse mortgage, right. You know, and all these other new terms. I mean, and people are doing these things and not understanding the implications and what this does to me in the long term. Right. I think it's also hard because the economy is such, we're all trying to just get through the week. So we're not weighing the cost in the years.
Right.
We're just saying, oh, this will get me to the next month. But then when 3 years comes down the road, it was like, oh my gosh, that was the worst thing I've ever done. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that there's just a lot of due diligence that needs to take place. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, could the government have done more to dig in and find out what's going on? Yeah, probably. But would they still have had to buy it out just to rescue the economy? I don't know. I'm not an economist.
Right.
But I just think at the end of the day, when you look at the whole schema of things, everybody's out to make money.
Right.
And there comes a point when we have to take some onus on ourselves and say what we as consumers are and are not willing to accept. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a tough spot to get to, because we all need a house. We all need a place to live. And we get excited when we get accepted, you know, such and such. So where is our own self-discipline to say, I can't afford that mortgage?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where we talk about, you know,
well, that's like you
our
have
knowledge of self, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's why you have the wolf and the sheep too. So you can say the bank is the big bad wolf, and we the consumers are sheep. So you know, it's like we want financing. We want our money to be in a safe place. We don't want to be taken advantage of. But we also, like you said, I think people need to do more homework, and they need to research. You know, they send you like when you get a credit card, they'll send you the rules. How many people actually read those rules? Yeah. You know, how many of you are actually paying attention to that?
Well, and let me say this, Darlene. At the very end of the day, you know, either you can go out here and try to stop the crack dealer, or you can teach your kids not to buy crack.
Right.
And I think that it has to be a both and. I mean, yeah, we can jump on the lending institutions and say, quit doing unfair lending practices per se, but we also have to jump on consumers and say, we need to be reasonable with what we can afford. I like to say we have to act our own wage.
Right.
And we need to be reasonable about what we can and cannot do to try to put ourselves in those situations. I mean, understanding credit cards and how credit cards work, and that paying the minimum balance will not pay off the card in the next 10 years. I mean, how many people are knowing those things? And that's where I just think consumer education really needs to come into play.
Yeah.
And if the banks can't push enough credit cards because we won't accept them, then I think they may be forced to change their practices.
Right. And it's about integrity too. So we need better integrity from our banks. Please don't take advantage of us. We need your money. And I mean, we need you to finance us. We need you to protect our money. We need our money in safe places, and we need to be able to trust that you have the integrity to keep it safe for us. And then our consumers, you know, just research more. Please don't just sign, or you know, somebody sends you $500 credit card and you're like, oh, that thing can turn into $5,000 worth of debt.
All money ain't good money. That's what my mama said.
Pay attention.
All money ain't good money.
Awesome. Okay, so that's going to do it for this issue of Spiritually Intriguing, the Church Edition. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.